At this time, we're going to have the swearing in of the Hanover alternate councillor, Harold Fleet. And welcome.
So, Councillor Fleet, I'm going to ask you to come right up here and speak your oath of office.
Okay. I, Harold Fleet, having been elected and appointed to the office of alternate councillor in the County of Grey, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and true, bear allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, reigning sovereign for the time being. And I make this solemn promise and declaration consistently believing it true and knowing that it is the same force and effect as it made under oath.
So I'll have your signature right there.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Okay. Good. Welcome to the County Council.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Warden.
Welcome, Harold.
Thank you.
And so maybe you didn't get the memo, but new people come, they have to bring coffee from Tim Hortons or what?
They're actually they're in the lunchroom.
Oh, okay. So
No
I think
problem.
We're going to get our picture
No
here
problem.
with the ward, or with our communication.
Councillor Mackey.
Present.
Councillor Gamble.
Present.
Councillor Burley.
Present.
Councillor Carlton.
Present.
Warden McQueen.
Present.
Councillor Desai.
Present.
Councillor Fleet.
Present.
Councillor Hicks.
Here.
Councillor Kentner.
Present.
Councillor Keaveney sends her regrets. Councillor Body.
Here.
Councillor O'Leary.
Present.
Councillor Woodbury.
Here.
Councillor Milne.
Present.
Councillor Soever.
Present.
Councillor Potter.
Present.
Councillor Robinson.
Present.
Councillor Hutchinson.
Present.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, County Council. And how did I push that button? At this time, are there any declaration of pecuniary interest with the councillors around the horseshoe today with regards to our agenda? Okay, if one does arise, you can declare at that time and fill out the proper paperwork. We have the minutes of December 12th. Can I have a mover and a seconder for those, please? Member Councillor Body, Councillor Burley. Are there any errors or omissions with those set of minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. We have the closed session minutes of December 12th. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor O'Leary, Councillor Desai. Are there any errors or omissions there? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. We have the minutes of the Long-Term Care Committee of December 10th. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Gamble and Councillor Fleet. Any discussion on those set of minutes? There's a few items in there. Seeing none, all in favor? Oh, Councillor Desai, you had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just a quick, is Councillor Fleet, according to procedure, allowed to move or second those minutes? Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Any other discussion there? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. There's no, I guess, no need to have a closed minute meeting or in close. Okay, we have the Board of Health report. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Desai, Councillor Robinson.
So Drew Ferguson is here on behalf of Dr. Era.
Okay.
If you would wish him to speak.
So if there are, Drew Ferguson is here on behalf of Dr. Era. Is there any, do you have any items to bring forward? I guess maybe if there's any questions. Welcome.
Thank you, Warden. Thank you for being here. Sorry, I didn't. Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me. Dr. Era is attending with the bishops this morning and felt that was important. I may bring you up to date on the modernization process that's underway with the province, that we will be meeting with the provincial advisor, Mr. Pine. That's been scheduled for a location in Waterloo to be determined on January 31st with the region of Waterloo, Grey Bruce, Wellington, Dufferin Guelph, and the new Huron-Perth Public Health Unit. So they'll be meeting with Mr. Pine, Alison Blair, the Assistant Deputy Minister, and Dr. David Williams, the Chief Medical Officer for the province of Ontario. We are in the process of identifying the Board of Health members and senior leadership who will attend that meeting. And the consultation process also provided a discussion paper outline for a number of key issues the government's identified as important to that discussion under headings of capacity, alignment, duplication of effort, and priority setting. And we're in the process of and very close to wrapping up our response to these issues and providing those to the government. So that's where we are with modernization. And I'll take any questions anyone has.
For that, is there any questions from County Council with regards to anything that's been mentioned here or in the report? Okay, well, go ahead, Councillor Soever.
Yes, is there any better idea of when this might happen? I know it sounded like the amalgamation or modernization was going to be pushed back a bit from the original date. Is there a new date that's been kind of suggested?
Sorry. They did identify back in November that the April 1st deadline had been pushed to an indeterminate date. Nothing further on that other than that Mr. Pine's report is expected in the fall, and that's indeterminate as well. So we could be even well into 2020 before anything is concrete, but that's purely speculative based on how things roll out.
Any other questions then for the Health Board itself? Okay, well, thank you very much for that. So the other item, just for, oh, sorry. All those in favor? That is carried. That's important. So the next item is item B that was added to the agenda, and this is to bring some clarity back from County Council, or seek clarity from County Council. As you're quite aware of the terms of reference, or their last County Council meeting was with regards to all the boards and committees, and there needed to be some clarity in the sense of the representation on the Bruce Grey Health Board. And part of that was in the sense of the appointment and also of the extension of the motion to keep the representatives on there to the end of 2020. I think it was December 2020. So part of that is seeking clarification from this body in the sense of the warden's representation on that board, and also with regards to the attendance. I did attend that Board of Health meeting in December 20th, I think it was, and it came back that it's up to the body of the County Council to determine who's those representatives do sit on that board. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know if there's any discussion from the body on that, but currently right now it speaks to 4 individuals to be continued on that board but it does speak to it as the warden. So I don't know if there's any comment or discussion with regards to the body. I don't know, do you have anything for clarity from staff? Or?
I was wondering if it would be appropriate for the clerk in effect at this time and what the process is to move forward from there.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. So, as everyone's aware, we do appointments in December of every year for the new year approaching in December 2018 with the new council. We did appointments for the Board of Health that included the warden and 3 members of council being Councillor Patterson, O'Leary, and Milne. Am I correct? And in July of 2019, with the possibility of amalgamations coming and to keep the, I think the Board of Health called it sort of maintaining what's going on right now, they requested that Grey and Bruce counties pass a motion to support the current members having a 2-year term that would take them until the amalgamation or December 2020, whichever is earliest. And that is the motion we have on the books right now. So the current memberships from the Board of Health are Councillors Hicks, Patterson, O'Leary, and Milne. And that is the resolution that is on the board right now, or on the books right now. If council wishes to change that, then because it's less than 12 months, reconsideration needs to take place.
I'll open up. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for that. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and through you, question to the clerk. The terms of reference for the Public Health Board with respect to board composition, would that identify that the position of warden is on it, no matter who is in that position of warden? I'm just thinking through, I respect the councillor positions, but I'm just seeking clarification with regard to the warden position, because we do have a new warden. So does that position now, or that representation on the Public Health Board for warden fall to our current warden as opposed to Councillor Hicks? So I'm seeking clarification with regard to the warden position.
This isn't our committee, so we do not have a terms of reference here. There is nothing, there's no terms of reference. There is a piece of legislation that says that the municipal government, the upper tier, may designate the members of the board, but nowhere does it say those positions. Historically, it has been 3 councillors and the warden, but it is not written anywhere. We are able to pass resolutions and bylaws for the governance structure of the local boards, but there's nothing in writing that said it must be warden. That it has been our historical practice.
Councillor Hicks. Sorry. Oops.
There we go. It's on. Yeah. Okay, so we have the current motion in place, which speaks about maintaining the membership on the Board of Health as it has been. I think we have a few options. I would agree with anyone who would say that the warden ought to be a member of the Board of Health, should the warden desire to be. And I would certainly be supportive of that. So given that, I think we have 2 options. And one option that was discussed at the last Board of Health meeting was that the warden is an ex officio member of every committee, and in that regard can attend Board of Health meetings, and in fact did attend the last Board of Health meeting and would be welcome to attend future Board of Health meetings. So that can continue, and that's certainly one option. The other option, and if it would please everyone, I would be more than happy to step back and not sit as a member of the Board of Health if that was required in order to have the warden occupy that position. So I could certainly maybe have a discussion offline with the warden about what his preference would be, but certainly I think he should be attending those meetings if he would choose to do so.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. And just for clarity to the clerk, and something else you raised there, Councillor Hicks, was I think it also was talked about whether there could be the warden or the alternate. Did we not? Was that not talked about a little bit too?
Sorry, I do not recollect the discussion around the alternate, and I don't know if there's a provision for an alternate on the Board of Health.
And I guess the default is the deputy warden in default. If the warden can't be there, the deputy warden fills that position. And I wonder if that would it also be the opportunity moving forward. And I look at maybe from the health board or.
Thank you. It's never been our practice to send an alternate for the warden should the warden not be able to attend a certain Board of Health meeting. Once they get to the board, they are a member, and that membership stays as it is. So it's never been our practice, nor I think has it been Bruce County's practice to send an alternate.
But I guess the question is, could it be our practice? If in the sense that you do have that representation in the sense of having, I guess I look at it as a hybrid, in the sense that if the warden can't be there, the deputy warden falls. And we do have that on the books where in replace, we changed, I think last year, that the deputy warden is a spot where it is recognized as fulfilling the duties of the warden if the warden can't attend.
In our procedural bylaw, the deputy warden may step in for the warden to chair council and committee meetings, any other advisory committees. It does not extend to outside of county council or Grey County hosted meetings. The Board of Health is not a membership of council. It's not a board of council. So the deputy warden may chair any of the meetings the warden's unable to attend, from county council to committees and subcommittees, but that has not, and through our procedural bylaw at least, does not extend to the Board of Health.
I guess where I'm thinking is, for example, the Grey County Federation of Ag, on the alternate member, Councillor Robinson is the member. So I mean, as long as it's appointed that way through our procedure, I think from the health board, I don't know, maybe there's representatives there that could maybe take that back, but as long as there's representation there, I don't think that, similar to other external boards, we do have an alternate in place.
I think we're making this more difficult than it needs to be. I respect the fact that you're ready to step down, but the whole idea of the board was to keep everyone together because of the modernization background that we've all been through, and we wanted to keep that the same. So I think we should respect that. And if the warden wants to come to the meetings, he's more than welcome. He just won't be able to vote. I think that's pretty simple. Thanks.
Sorry, thank you for that. Councillor Milne?
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and I was going to say pretty much the same as what Mr. O'Leary said, although he said it a lot more graciously than I might have. So I would agree entirely. That was the entire intent of the Board of Health's motion or request of both counties, to keep the board whole as it was last year so that we could work our way through the modernization and possible amalgamation with another health unit if needed. So I 100% agree with Mr. O'Leary, and maybe the minutes could let that show.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Milne. Councillor.
Thank you. I'm a director on a community health care organization, and this has been the modernization's been a moving target with lots of information and misinformation over the last year. I think we're maybe looking at this kind of as a either or type of thing when we should look at the benefit. If we keep the four that are assigned now there, we have that continuity. But with the warden as the ex officio, we actually end up with a fifth set of ears as part of the discussion, and a fifth person sitting around this table that can help with clarifying things. So I think if we go with what Councillor Hicks was saying of the first choice of leave the committee like it is, put in have you attend as you can with the committee as an ex officio. You've got two ex-wardens sitting on that committee as well. So the depth is there, and it gives us extra as far as ears and understanding. So that would be my preference.
Thank you for that, Councillor Woodbury. Any other comments or questions from Councillor Soever?
Yes, and I understand the points just made by my colleagues here. But I do think that it would be good to have the warden there on the committee, because this modernization thing is, as was explained to us, is just in its infancy, and there's been a lot of information and misinformation, and I think having our warden on the committee gives us a little more clout in fact that he is our representative and our voice outside the county. So, and you know, I think that's my opinion anyway.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Soever. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and through you. I can agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree that the council representatives remain. I needed clarity with respect to the warden position, whether that was gets transferred based on who is the current warden. I see a solution in place to have the warden in an ex officio capacity, and maybe at some point the committee structure could be looked at. I'm not suggesting immediately by any chance, but maybe on some of these other boards there could be a lens towards when there is a change to warden, that it either is respected that way, or that there is a respect needed to have a carryover in some capacities, like the motion before or the resolution that we have with the board. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Is there any other questions before I go back to Councillor Soever? Okay, Councillor Soever.
Yes, just looking at the resolution we passed a year ago in December when we appointed the board, there was a staff report came forth, and it talked about appointing the warden and 3 councillors, and then the motion that was passed was that we're accepting the recommendations in the staff report. That was part of that motion. So that would seem to indicate to me that the composition that we ratified and extended past the year's term last July was extending that motion, right? So that would seem to indicate that there is really no reconsideration needed, because we were saying, okay, the current members, but the members, as brought forth by the staff report back in December, were actually the warden and 3 councillors to be elected. I do not recall the warden being part, although the minutes don't reflect that. I do not recall the warden being part of that election process.
Thank you, Councillor Soever. Do you have any comment, Madam Clerk, on that, or any comment from staff?
Thank you. I can just comment that although the December 2018 resolution appointed the warden, it did appoint Warden Hicks. And once you go to the Board of Health, you are a member. You're not identified as Warden Hicks or Warden Tulin or anything like that. You are strictly a board member there. And the resolution from July of last year asks that the current members or the current board remain in place.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councillor Hicks. Sorry.
Okay, so I think the solution is actually very simple. I'm offering to step back. I would support you if you want to, Mr. Warden, step into that place and be have a vote at the Board of Health. I'm more than happy to step back. I would just say that it's regretful that that it's at this time that it's coming up, because I may have made some different decisions about committee appointments. So I made my decisions about whether I would run for certain committees on the basis that I would be sitting on the Board of Health. But nevertheless, it's not the end of the world. I'm more than happy to step back. The warden should be in that position if he chooses to be in that position. If that's his choice, I'm gone. I'll step back. Not a problem.
So I think, Councillor Hicks, thank you very much. I think you and I have a conversation, and we'll bring this back, how that works. And I guess on the other side, Madam Clerk, as far as me being the ex officio, would we need a motion to represent that, or how? Yeah.
Yes, I would say we would.
Okay, so then I'll speak with Councillor Hicks before next county council, and then we'll determine our moving forward for sure. The only reason it was raised was on the governance side. That's all. That's the reason why it's brought up. So, are there any other comments or points? Okay. Good discussion. Okay. Moving on, we have 2 bylaws. Anybody from county council wish to pull those bylaws separate, or do we have one motion? Seeing none, can I have a motion for the 2 bylaws, please? Councillor Carlton, Councillor Soever. Any discussion on those 2 bylaws, 507420 and 507520? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. All right, best part of the day, good news and celebrations. Who would like to go first? Come on, we just had 2 weeks of great times and good weather. Councillor Desai.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. In Grey Highlands, we're having the Mayor's Levy on Saturday, January 11th, this Saturday. It's going to be at the Flesherton Library at 1 p.m. There'll be good food, as there always is in Grey Highlands, which is better than Southgate, I would like to mention. Okay, I apologize. At the Mayor's Levy, we will be presenting an award. The Mayor will be presenting an award to Tom and Joan McGee, who've served the community in and around Flesherton for 50 years now through their efforts in the Love Committee, which is a group of volunteers that gets together around Christmas time and ensures that that families in need aren't having to go without during the Christmas season. And they've done it 51 years now with the recent season just ended. So hopefully people around the table are able to make it out to that. It's at 1 p.m. this Saturday at the Flesherton Library. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. 3 quick things, if I might. First, I'd like just to congratulate Grey Bruce Farmers Week organizers, sponsors, all of those in attendance. I attended Horse Day on Sunday, and it was very well attended, and a lot of information there. The Durham Art Gallery is going to have an exhibit opening January 11th, and it will run through to March 9th. It's entitled First Train, Last Train. It's a video installation and related works with regard to trains, curated by Anna Grood, Tony Massett, and one of our West Grey councillors, Councillor Jeffrey Shea. And there is also an original soundtrack by Mark Marash. I also want to just say that West Grey now is online with Twitter and Facebook.
Well, there you go. Thank you for Councillor Robinson. Any other good news and celebrations? Councillor Soever.
Yes, I'd like to report that Town of Blue Mountains held the first council levy on January 4th, first one in many years. And at that, we presented a certificate to the Reiki family, who have been combining crops for 65 years as of last year. So, you know, they do cash crops, they do all kinds of grains and stuff, but they've been running combines for 65 years. So we thought we'd recognize them at the levy, and the levy also included free public skating and was very well attended.
So that must have been just right after the thrashing machine. Well, they were before the combine. Any other good news and celebrations? I do want to say that I was happy to attend the Santa Claus Parade in Chatsworth, and thank you very much for that, being to be invited to that, and also the Holstein Santa Claus Parade. And I thought, holy smokes, that was quite a parade with non-motorized. And I said to Councillor Milne that I think half of Grey County was there. Hey, Brian? It was a big, well-attended. First time I was at that. Very good parade, I would say, for anybody next year to attend that. Just amazing with all the horse drawing, sleighs, and I guess it was wagon or wheel-pulled wagons and stuff, but very well attended. I think maybe Councillor Milne, or Woodbury, that people come from afar, like Toronto, and then the unfortunate thing is there's a traffic jam in downtown Holstein, and once a year. So, yeah, it was good, and thank you again for inviting me for that. So, any last comments or good news or celebrations? And maybe next year we should have a county of Gray float on that. Yeah? All right. Seeing none, okay, thank you for